why, but I wanted to start singing The Price is Right. Like, "Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun." Come on down, guys. Like, come on down.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Chase. And with me I got my co-host, Nick. Say
Hello.
what's up to the people. And then our reoccurring guest, the lovely, the one and only, Jena. Say what's up to the people.
Hello everyone. Hello.
I can't say just lovely guest now. You're kind of like a reoccurring
You're essentially our
I
host.
am.
Almost.
Yeah, you moved up in the bill, you know what I'm saying?
You've gotten promoted.
Yeah, you
I
got like your own
have.
trailer now, you know?
You have
For real? Don't play me like that. Don't play me like that.
a couple
Don't get
more
me
shows.
excited like that, guys.
Couple more shows, and you get your own bubbles as your assistant.
What? Okay, I'm
But,
ready. I'm ready.
but today on today's show, you may notice a face is missing, or maybe not. Maybe you don't notice him. But Josh is not going to be here for the entire month. So this entire month, we're going to kind of be taking it sort of like bi-weekly, I guess. Mainly just follow like the major releases.
Okay.
I just realized I forgot to change my stream key. So I think I'm still streaming on my account.
You are.
Well, so anyway, it doesn't really matter at this point. We're here.
We're here.
But if you do want to follow the Afternoon Tune stream, just look us up on Afternoon Tune. Next week or next time we stream, I will have the actual stream key in so we can stream from the actual account. I forgot that. But right now, streaming on my account, Mr. Chase Max. So yeah. But on today's show, we got In the Heights, the musical by Lin Manuel Miranda.
His first Broadway musical.
Yes.
That people forget about a lot.
Yeah, it was actually sort of like, in some ways, I guess, kind of like an experiment before he could even get to Hamilton.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of like those prototype rap talk style in this.
There's definitely a lot of story beats and musical stylings that are similar to Hamilton.
And then of course also you have the latest episode of Loki.
Everyone's favorite supervillain.
Yeah. Loki.
Oh, he's not a villain, remember? He's not a villain.
Oh, sorry. Everyone's favorite anti-hero, I guess. No.
Well, I mean, without saying too much, there is a villain.
Yeah, but what?
By the name of Loki.
Yeah,
but Chase, didn't Loki die in Infinity War? We'll get to there.
We'll get there when we get there. But the god of trickery has had quite a few tricks up his sleeve in various different dimensions, timelines, realms, whatever you want to call them.
I kind of want to break out my conspiracy hat, but I saw how that turned out with WandaVision.
Yeah, no, he's very this show is very tin hat, and I can't wait to get into it because it's literally just tin hat, just QAnon-esque beat.
Yep.
Like
all of that.
The most craziest things that you could think of.
All of that Alex Jones energy is coming back for Loki.
And it might be right this time. We don't know. We'll have to find out. But we want to start off with In the Heights. I'm going to break it to you guys very simply. I am not a musical fan at all. The only musical that I actually thoroughly enjoyed was
Cats.
Lion King, the other cat musical.
Oh, the other cat musical.
Yeah. Now
what a weird like first film and a sequel. It's like Cats and then you get the Lion King.
Well, I mean, it was like an evolutionary sequel. You know what I'm saying? Like, You know,
it's like the weirdest quadrilogy ever. You got Cats, you got Lion King 1.5, and then Lion King 2.
We don't talk about 1.5 or 2.
I genuinely like 1.5.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't discuss those, Nick, on this podcast.
No.
But yeah, so Lion King was it for me. I don't know. I think the nostalgia definitely did play a favor in the Broadway performance for me. I mean, like the Broadway show was great. Don't get me wrong. You have like the people coming in with
it was,
and stuff like that. And just like the live energy there is bar none for me at least. But what about you guys? What's your Broadway musical experience? We'll start with Nick because I know Jenna has actually a ton of actual theater experience.
I do.
Besides what people would call a failed career and drama in high school, it was like I always auditioned for the roles, but I never got them. In my high school, we did I think Chicago, and I think we did Rent one year, and I think that was it. Those were the 2 I went for, and I didn't get the parts.
Okay.
And besides that, musicals are mostly pretty much anything that's like been adapted into a film is what I've seen. Like I love Sweeney Todd. I even really loved Hamilton last year. The only reason I didn't put it on my like best of 2020 list is because I wasn't even sure if it counted as a feature film. But Jenna, you sound like the resident expert here. What's your experience with theater?
The true theater.
Let me twirl my mustache.
Need to borrow this hat.
Actually, I do need to borrow that hat. It's a very nice hat. Very New York, actually. I actually hated Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
I hated Hamilton upon the first viewing. Because I'm a little old school with my musicals. So I don't have like Broadway experience, or I wouldn't be here. I would be like popular. But I do have off Broadway, and I have like done musicals, just not on Broadway. And I love musicals. Musicals was actually my favorite form medium before film, before music. It was musicals. So like the fact that it combined acting, choreography, and singing were like my 3 favorite things to do. So I like a lot of musicals. When it comes to film musicals, I actually separate them because like Sweeney Todd, like how you said, or Grease, they were filmed as films and they were singing in it. So it was like it understood the dynamics of film. So it wasn't trying to adapt a stage play to a film. And I think the last success was Chicago. Personally, was like the last good. And I actually saw Chicago on Broadway, and I was hoping they wouldn't do like Wicked, like try to adapt Wicked to film, because it's just not going to work. Like certain stage productions, just the energy is about it being live. You know what I mean? So when I was seeing In the Heights, I was a little nervous because I was like, man. Other than like West Side Story, which is another like stage play that was adapted, which I will constantly refer to, even though it's a hella more racist. Like this is not as racist, but West Side Story was like super racist. They did brown face the whole time. But again, I feel like that they did. It was never brown face. It may be a couple of Puerto Rican actors, and I think they were Mexican.
No, you want to talk about whitewashing. That was like the epitome of whitewashing.
Yeah, they were doing it. Yeah, they were doing it before Ghost in the Shell made it cool.
Listen, let's not get into that era. But I think golden era Hollywood is a good reference point if you're ever gonna adapt a stage play to film, because for some reason they were able to combine the elements properly. This film.
Well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know yet whether or not this was the film that maybe turned me into a musical head. You know? This may have been the film that may have turned Nick into a Lin Manuel Miranda stan. This may have been the film that, really changed like the course of your entire life. You know? we just haven't gotten into it yet.
I'm sensing a huge butt.
That's true.
So let's get into it.
I'm mad that Grease wasn't that film for you. That's what I'm mad at. Or Little Shop of Horrors wasn't that film for you.
I love Little Shop of Horrors, but I cannot stand Grease.
So
what? Okay, so The Wiz, no.
I like the
Wiz. Okay, all right. The Wiz, all right. I will give you that. Michael Jackson killed that. That was my shit. That was my shit. But I was a kid back then. I don't know if I could see The Wiz now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh,
I don't know. I don't know if it'll hold up.
I mean, I rewatched it. I was in it. I actually performed in it, and I rewatched it. And I think as an adult, it is a little corny, but you will appreciate like the set design in there is still top tier. I have yet to see a film with that innovative like color and set design. Nobody can step to it. And Michael Jackson, like, come on.
Yeah.
And Diana
like,
Ross,
honestly,
my bad girl.
It's Michael. Yeah. like, of course I'm gonna like it. Like, I just found out, this is random, but I literally just found out the other day that Michael Jackson had a hand in the Sonic 3 soundtrack. And that explains so much to me because I love that soundtrack. Yeah. And that was like the only Sonic soundtrack where I was like, yo, wait, I need this on like Spotify or something. It makes so much sense now. But yeah, In the Heights.
Wait, before you start, one more question for both of y'all before you start. Did y'all like Dreamgirls? Did you like Dreamgirls?
I like some of the songs, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was...
I never saw Dreamgirls.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that too. I'm not gonna say too loudly that I didn't like it that much because the Beehive is gonna jump me.
All I remember is that Eddie Murphy got nominated, but then he sabotaged his own chance at a win with Norbit.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
And
not a good
creating a move that I will forever call Norbiting.
Norbiting.
Like Leslie Odom Jr. did to himself this year.
Oh yeah. He was primed to get an Oscar this year, but like he did that what's it called? Music. Yeah. And then they were like, nah, we're not giving you anything this year. You're
fuck out of here.
You read that script and you said, this is it, I'm acting in it. Nah. No Oscars for you. But yeah. In the Heights. Let's not delay any further.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, I will say, without a doubt, if you're not a musical head and you do not like Hamilton, you will not like this. If you do not like Lin Manuel Miranda's flow, his cadence, his bars, you will not like this. but if you do like music within like Hispanic culture, like they do give you a few things to like chew on, like with the background music. Abuela gets like the greatest number in this movie.
Yep, Abuela, who is played by Olga Merediz, who is reprising her role from the Broadway production, which won the Tony for.
And deservedly so. I could tell just off rip, she was a different level on this. But that being said, this did not change my mind at all on musicals. Okay. I do appreciate what this film was trying to do and what it was trying to accomplish. Like, I do appreciate what Lin Manuel Miranda is trying to do, right? You know, up until the point where I found out that Washington Heights was a lot more blacker than they showed it. But you know, we don't need to talk about that too much. We'll let other people.
I was about to tap on that.
We'll let other people get into that. But we'll take the film as is. We'll focus on the story, you know. And if we look at the four elements of the story, yes, it's cheesy, but it is feel good.
Yes, and I kind of don't want to call it cheesy because just kind of the nature of what this film is as a movie musical. And if you really look at them, a lot of them are like corny or cheesy just by nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you are already a musical head and you are into that sort of charm, let me not call it cheese anymore. If you're into that charm, that style, you're going to love this. But if you are not, and you are more into like, you know, like more grounded stuff, this is not going to change your mind. This is not going to be the musical that changes your perspective.
If you want David Ayers in the Heights, then
this is not it. But you know, I think what it does do with its community aspect, like the setting, I think the setting itself is great. You have a lot of interesting background characters, like
what does sueñito mean?
Sueñito. It means
you
little dream.
100% have met these like
That's
the three sirens that work at the hair salon.
All right, everybody sit down.
It's a story of a block that was disappearing.
You know, but and I think also just like the sort of side characters, like Lin himself plays like this hot dog vendor who just like sort of walks in and out every now and then. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's the snow cone guy.
Yeah.
Yes, and I miss those. I miss those so much.
Facts, yeah. And you know, aside from that community aspect, I couldn't really latch on to too many of the characters. Like I've seen these characters, the core 4 characters. You have the sort of narrator who, you know, starts off with that very cliche sort of, this is the story of how I got to the Dominican Republic with my kids. Then you have the sort of the fashion designer character who's just trying to move downtown, you know, chase her dreams. You have the college dropout, and then you also have the dude that wants to date the college dropout, who's working under her father. But you know this story. You know where these characters are going. You know how they're going to make it out. You know everything's going to be all right, especially when a certain lottery ticket comes into play. But what do you guys think? What do you think?
Okay. For a lot of your criticism, I agree with you. I think a lot of the characters are very cliche. You know exactly where the story is going to go. Just the second that number comes up, but that 96,000, you know exactly where it's going to go. Yeah. However, I don't agree with you that I couldn't latch on to any of the characters because I thought everyone was really fucking great. Of course, the standout is Abuela, but Anthony Ramos, he's playing the role that Lin did on Broadway, and Ramos, he was also in Hamilton. He played John Lawrence, and he also played Philip. And I would say, I think personally, I think Ramos is like twice the singer that Lin Manuel Miranda is. Like even in the recorded version of Hamilton that we got to see, it was obvious that Lin was the weakest singer out of that entire cast. And it was kind of like overshadowing.
Now, here's a big part of why I couldn't latch onto the characters is because, especially him, that rap cadence, dog, that got to go. That got to go. Please, Lin, find a new flow. Please let like the actors like mess around with different flows, mess around with like different like you know, delivery. Because like I could hear the Hamilton right off of this joint, like from the get go. And it just took me out of it after.
And that's
within like the first 5 minutes, because I'm like, all right, I do understand like what you're saying, Nick, because like I'm sure he did fine if you like that style, but if you don't like that style and you find it cringeworthy, like I did, after a while I just started muting the dude and just like reading the captions. Like I was just like, I can't take his rapping right now. it's just so bad. He sounds like a discount Eminem, like Walmart brand. It was bad. But I'm not gonna harp too much on that.
Yep.
Jenna, what did you think about like the characters?
Even this
I
version, Usnavi is like the weakest character here. I was more interested in like Nina and Benny's story. I was more interested in Vanessa. I was more interested in Jimmy Smith's arc in this because he plays Nina's father.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, Nick.
What I understand, a new element they added with Sonny, who is played by Gregory Diaz, who we last saw in Vampires versus the Bronx. And he's basically playing the same character from that, but they add a DACA subplot in here that was not in the stage play.
That's interesting.
That I thought was kind of like that I thought was more or less an afterthought because that element is not delved into deep enough. And for a 2.5 hour movie, you needed the fucking time for it. This is like one of the times where I would say, okay, maybe you needed like an extra 20 or 30 minutes.
But no, I was grateful that it was not that long. Simply because I didn't like much of the music. But you know, when it slowed down and it was like actual like speaking lines, I started to like grow a little bit better with it. Like I liked the dynamic between the dad and the dropout. The few scenes that they had there were no songs, so I was able to like actually like, you know, pay attention. Thank God he was not rapping. That would have been bad. So I was able to like take those scenes a little bit more seriously than I did the singing scenes and the musical scenes, simply because they slowed down and just were talking it out and they were acting. But yeah, I do agree to that point. Like the DACA storyline could have been fleshed out a lot more and a lot more interesting than what the A plot is really. You know, the A plot is just him like with the bodega trying to figure out what to do with it and just like trying to move to the Dominican Republic. Like we've seen that before. If they could have added maybe like a few more elements to his story, maybe that could have interested me. But what do you think, Jenna, about like the characters?
Well, I had a lot of mixed feelings because I actually saw this on stage. And I lived in the Bronx for the duration of my time. It was after this play was made, but it was still running. And like the stage play, that's the thing about film musicals that kind of irritate me a little bit is the lack of like character development almost, or the arts, because on stage, again, you would not say that about the characters on stage. Like every character, like I was invested in this story. This is the last musical that I was like, okay, I did not like the style. Actually, funny enough, I hated it. Absolutely hated it because I hate Hamilton. Because again, I'm a little bit of an old school, you know, Broadway musical girl. Okay, I need you to actually sing, honey, not rap. And but I enjoyed it just because it was different. Like at the time, you didn't see nothing like that. You didn't see anything like that. So for us, that was Hamilton. For us musical kids, like in the Heights, was like magic.
And Hamilton, I definitely think is a more.
Go ahead, Nick.
And I definitely think Hamilton's a more polished version of the music that's featured here, because Manuel Miranda has had years and years to like work more on like his style. Critique it as you will, but I would say the songs in Hamilton are slightly above the music here.
I think that's I think also just the novelty oh my bad. For me at least, like with Hamilton, right, the little charm of Hamilton to me was like, all right, you're casting like an all black and Hispanic cast to play the founding fathers who were very much so racist.
And Parlor had if Parlor were around, they would have had a grand old time with that. That alone with them rapping, because like I was well aware that Lin couldn't really sing that well, so I like after a while I accepted it more so.
Like here, I know everybody in this joint can sing, especially the main dude. So it was just kind of like, oh, bro, why are you rapping like Lin and then not giving me those like notes that I know you can hit?
Yeah, I hear that, but it doesn't bother me as much because Lin himself isn't performing along with this cast. Like when he is,
but that's
kind of is sharing scenes and sharing numbers with guys like Anthony Ramos, like Leslie Odom Jr., like Philippa Sue. His like less polished singing acumen, it stands out even more.
No, but like what I'm saying is, right?
Yeah.
Why do you have these guys who can sing, not Lin? Why do you have them rapping in your exact same cadence, and flow? Every single song, switch up the flow at least once. Give me something that's not cringy, at least once. Give me some like metaphors that I can work with.
Jesus Christ! Did Lin Manuel Miranda fuck your girlfriend? What?
No.
What with the
I'm just.
Where did that come from?
Look, I'm just tired of this man getting away with this one note flow. I'm just tired of this man getting away with this flow.
Jesus, did the man cut you off in traffic? What did he do to you?
He made me
where Lin Manuel Miranda touched you.
He made me sit and watch a 2-hour movie of a dude that I know who can sing rap in his flow.
Yeah.
That's what he did wrong.
Yeah. So like I said, when this came out on Off-Broadway, this was you have to understand when it came out, there was no other musical like this. Right?
Yeah.
And it was experimental. This is considered experimental. Yeah. So but my main critique was a critique shared, I forgot her name. She's like a prolific Black writer who also saw Hamilton for the first time. And she had the same issues I had within the Heist as a whole and actually with this film. Because I actually enjoyed the film. I didn't get to finish all of it because it was too long and I cannot deal with the rapping. Like the fact that you guys use Black like mediums of art, but you don't study it enough to know the flows, know when to breathe. Like rapping is an actual like art. Like you need to know your breath control, you know your cadence, it has to be on rhythm. You need to know like fucking the English language very well. Like you need to know so many other things. It's literally poetry to a beat. So my issue with Lin Manuel when I saw it on stage is the same issue I have with Hamilton, is the same issue I have in this film, is you're utilizing an artistic medium that you are not good at, period. And the fact that you didn't or would not hire an Afro-Latinx, right? Or Latinx or Latina, Latino, whatever is appropriate, because I'm not a part of that community. So my apologies. But y'all know what I'm saying. The fact that there's so many Afro-Latino folks who rap, who could have done that role and did it well so that the audience could keep up, so that the audience could understand, is annoying. Because like I said, the stage play, those characters are amazing. It stuck in my head the whole time. I loved it. I loved the energy of the show. It was just a whole different experience. When you transfer that to film, it's you have to like make sure everything's on point, because now we can pause it. Now we can rewind it. Now we can sit down and look at it. You don't really have that same advantage you do with a live show. And for me, that's a nitpick, but it also is something where like when I saw this on stage, when I saw the film, I pretty much was like, bro, he gonna have to give Spike Lee some money. High-key for real.
Yeah,
y'all know what film I'm talking about.
Definitely,
you know,
a lot of I don't want to say stuff ripped from, but stuff that's ripped from Do the Right Thing.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the techniques and stuff.
Ripped from Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
And the politics of it too.
Like Lin definitely cut Spike Lee a check.
Yeah.
Or at least give him a credit.
Also the original, like, right? With, I don't know why we're calling Nina. It is Nina, right? That's the character's name. The one who lied when she came back from school. The college, yeah.
Yeah, Nina.
The whole thing about...
played by Leslie Grace.
Yeah. Exactly. For me, for what I remember, it was a while ago. Now it's been over 10 years since I've seen it. So I was kind of shaky on like the plot when I seen it. But when I remember, the feeling I left with was like, wow, I left this play, but I learned so much about my fellow Latin brothers and sisters about what school really means, right? Because I was also inundated with that same rhetoric from Black families of like, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school, so you can get out, so you can get out. And I lived in the Bronx, and that is heavy there, like, and it's so mixed too. That was my other issue. It's like the Bronx is the most diverse, in my opinion. I've lived in New York for close to 10 years. It is the most diverse, in my opinion, out of all the boroughs. So you have all types of different types of people. That wasn't represented really properly in the film, and it bothers me. And then it was just like the impact of her dropping out of school. For some reason, I remember that, like, probably because I was like right out of high school when I seen this. But the fact that she dropped out of college, like, it impacted me a lot harder. Maybe because maybe the actress who played her did it better, or maybe just the stage production, you get more time with like character building. So like the fact they try to squeeze in that dazzle, like you said, like it just like if you're gonna push that in there, you need to go into that more because that's huge. Yeah. And it's still like a big thing today. So for me, it seemed like the political things that held the weight in a stage play, where you could really get that character building, that character arc, because it's a stage written production, it just didn't transfer very well here. So although it is still good I will comment on this though. I love the set design in this film.
Yeah.
I think the costumes, like, I love it. Like, I felt like I was back in New York, and I was like, yes, with the snow cone, man. You feel me? Give me my icy, bro. Give me the blue flavor. Like, I was like, I feel like I was back home. I was about to get off at Wakefield. You feel me? Yeah, past the Grand Concourse, 149th. Like, I felt like I was back home.
Yep,
like,
give me that fucking
but like everything
powder blue, closer to like crystal meth and syrup snow cone.
Right? Hell yeah! When they pour it on there too, they used to do a little. Man,
that would explain a lot.
Like, so it's like it had like it has the essence of it, which I feel like is great. But because we had things like Glee, High School Musical, you know what I mean? We've had TV, film productions that have learned to adapt musicals for TV and film. I felt like, especially because this was directed by somebody who doesn't direct musicals. You got a director who doesn't know how to do musicals on film to film a musical. Well, like, it just seemed like it was a whole bunch of music videos with like text put in there.
And I count. Are you seriously? You don't count Step Up 3D as a musical?
Get away from me, Nick. Get away from me, Nick.
Not Step Up 3, not the third one. He didn't do the first one. He did the third one.
He did the second and third one.
Oh no, that's. I mean, I was gonna give him some credit here and there because, like, I do think, especially like Abuela's solo, he went all out for that joint.
That's true.
Yeah,
he did go all out for that.
Yep, that is the best. That is the best number of this film, and
it is.
I think the club one, even though I didn't like the song too much, I did like how it was.
I like that one
to some degree, especially like, you know, like you could really feel the dynamic of him just trying to dance with her and everybody trying to dance with her, and like him also just being a douche at the same time. You guys know I don't like this guy.
Yeah,
but you know, I think certain aspects translate better, but obviously that energy that you were talking about with Broadway is lacking tremendously. And I do wonder, like, I wonder if I did see this in Broadway, maybe I would have warmed up to it, sort of like how I did with Hamilton. Because after a while, like, I wouldn't put Hamilton in a favorite of anything, but I warmed up to it after like halfway into it, because it was just like, all right, like I'm in it. It has a charm to it. So I wonder if getting that live performance with a more diverse cast, just a little bit more, might have helped immerse me a little bit better. But I do think the setting as a whole is its strongest aspect if you don't think about how it may have got whitewashed.
I mean,
extremely whitewashed, which is ironic because they're talking about gentrification.
Yeah.
Like, they call South Bronx now So Borough. You know what I mean? And when I left New York, it was already a wrap. So, like I said, like, I don't know. It just seems like all the political things that they wanted to use for emotional weight just is different, because when you're off Broadway, you can experiment more. It's just a different feel. You actually have actors of diversity. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different vibe. And I feel like with what was this budget of? $50 million budget? What was it? What's this budget?
Really?
$30 million? One of them is, bro. This budget was $55 million. With a $55 million budget, and you're telling me this is what you're giving me? Like, it just screams, hey, Hamilton was a hit, girl. Let's put the girls on screen with your first one and see what goes down. And it's just like, you guys cover so many important topics that I feel like a lot of Americans don't understand what it means to be an immigrant, what it means to be Afro-Latino, what it means to be Latino in America. There's just so much more culture, and y'all just boil it down to Abilita. Like, this film just boiled it down a lot more than the stage production. The stage production was like USA, you know what I mean? But like, this one, it's a little bit more just like, let's focus on the love story and this and that. And the emotional punch that I got, that I still, because I was excited for this film, because I remembered how I felt when I saw the play. And I was like, oh, Ben, this was kind of lit. This was like the last thing I saw that was lit. And then when I seen it, I was like, why do I feel like I'm getting the fucking Disney version of this shit? Like, why do I feel like y'all just sanitized everything and kind of like, well, we feel good now. It's a feel-good movie, when really you're supposed to leave and be like, wow, that was such a rich culture in the Bronx. Maybe we should preserve that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we shouldn't support the fact that people got to shut down their bodegas, or that, you know, people who came here and provided the culture and the life of the Bronx can't stay here anymore. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, for me, I enjoyed it as a musical, but I would implore people, I don't know if it's still having a Broadway run. I don't think it is. But if it is, or if you're like in local community theaters doing it, please go see the stage play, because even the way the acts are structured are actually different from the way the beats are structured in this film. So it gives you a whole different emotional beat than the film gives you. It's not like super different, but it's different enough. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but I mean, I thought it was cute. I definitely liked this better than Hamilton. I just can't get down with Hamilton. I cannot. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not gonna write that.
You didn't even like the King's part? I thought the King's part was kind of funny. Like, once
which actually gets,
if I could fucking understand it.
Yeah, which the King's it gets a nice little Easter egg here.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Where was
it? Like when Jimmy Smith is on the phone, the hold tune, it's like that song. Da 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 da.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap up our discussion, our review, our thoughts on In the Heights. For me, I'm not gonna give this like a review. It's just, I'm not a musical guy, so I don't feel like I am the right person to give a number score to this. So yeah, What do you think, Nick?
I've kind of come around on musicals. Like, I really enjoyed Hamilton, and I think this is like a more raw version of what that play ended up being. John M. Chu, I think his stage is his direction in the musical numbers and his cinematography, I thought that really stood out here. Good on you for getting Olga to reprise her Tony Award-winning role for this, and directing the hell out of that number. That was amazing. That brought tears to my eye when I was watching it. The rest of the cast, I thought they did fine, but I also agree, like what you were saying, Jenna, that there's just something missing when you're translating this like very long, very raw, very energetic play to a film, and from what you're saying, kind of Disneyfying it to a certain extent. But that being said, I still enjoyed all the musical numbers. This is 100% going on my Spotify, and so is the original soundtrack for it. But for me, I'd say this is an 8 out of 10 for me. I'm a sucker for musicals already, and if I'm humming the soundtrack to a musical after I'm watched the movie, then that's a good sign for me.
Yeah, definitely is. I will. That's the two things that stood out to me. I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. And I'm glad. Shout out to Alice Brooks. I rarely name cinematographers who are mostly men, but this is a woman, and she did her motherfucking thing. That's the thing that stood out to me was the cinematography and the camera movement, and the framing of the camera. It was just, to me, I was like, I want to hire that person when I do a musical. You know what I mean? I never seen Cats, hated it, didn't see the film. So for me, I don't have anything to like reference this to.
Yeah, don't see Cats unless you want to take a dip into insanity. Unless you want to literally lose your mind.
I was told not to watch it sober.
Not the mushrooms.
No. I saw that motherfucker New Year's Day. I was at the club all night before, drunk off my ass. So I went to a tent because I went on the train, got myself some ramen, felt good, was still drinking, went to the theater at like 10 a.m. New Year's Day, saw Cats because I thought it'd be fun. Nah, once that movie was over, I was dead sober. In horror.
Yeah. Sounds like
I definitely
sounds exactly how you would watch that.
It's like that panel of joke where he's like
pretty much.
Yeah, I definitely I don't want to watch it, but this I would recommend. For me, the set design again for the people who did the production on this. Hands down, thank you. I feel like the production crew, especially stage and film production crews, don't get enough love. And I feel like if it wasn't for the production crew, people give the director props, but I feel like this was more so the production crew and the cinematography actually saved this film for me. I'm not a fan of the music, but it is. I like this better than Hamilton just because it was just a little bit more relatable, and the rapping fit here. You know what I mean? Because Spanish is fast, especially Spanish in the Bronx. It's different from California Spanish. I'm a slow Spanish. California, out there, they're fast. You know what I mean? So it made sense that everything was fast. So it set the tone, like it made that work here. I don't think that worked in Hamilton. And again, shout out to my Abuelita. She was amazing. Again, that's why she won her award. But I definitely would have chose a director who does musicals for this play. And honestly, there's other films that just do this better. I gave y'all a shit ton of them. Grease, even if you don't like it. Grease 2 even. Chicago, Little Shop of Horrors, Dreamgirls, like no shade. Those films are much better film musicals than this one. And they're also traditional
I didn't even
musicals.
Put Sweeney Todd above this as far as
and Sweeney Todd. But again, that is my nitpick. Those are traditional musicals. This is not a traditional musical. This is an off-Broadway, so it's experimental. You're getting new things. I feel like if you want to see how you can do a musical in a different way, which is why this was so popular, definitely watch it. And just watch it in general, because it is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this film. It's just, for me, too long of a running time. They definitely sanitized it for white audiences. And I feel like they would have done better with a director who actually knows how to direct musicals, or at least music videos. So I will give this actually a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10. times I wanted to look online and buy a ticket to go back to the Bronx.
Yeah, for me it's eight
I
out.
was this close, y'all. I was this close.
For me, it's a 8 out of 10. Cafe no con leche.
For me, it was just go to the Heights at that point. I'd rather just be there.
It don't look the same. It don't. I'm gonna tell you right now, that shit.
They got
there's not a whole bunch of like colored like banners like going around every building.
You gotta go deep into it, and no shade, but y'all know there's a lot more going on, so I'm gonna need a lot more desks because this is the Bronx, baby. So that's about it.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
It was a goddamn Bronx. It was enough gunshots.
Yeah, I'd be wondering if I'd be wondering if a guy like a Carlos Lopez Estrada who did Blind Spotting, I wonder what his take on this would be. I wonder if like he would have gotten something that was a lot closer to like some of the heavier themes of the Broadway show.
Oh yeah, he would. Oh my god, I can't wait.
I also get it. You're trying to package this to a wider audience, trying to piggyback off of the success of Hamilton. So I understand why.
I also think he would fix the flow problem. I think he would.
Yeah,
he has a good taste for music.
But he's not black. He's not black and he don't rap. That's the problem, Chase. He ain't black and he don't. Period. Like,
true, but
period, nigga. Hire a nigga, bro. Hire a nigga.
Please, just like a consultant or somebody. Like, you have the money now. That $55 million could have gone to somebody to consult. Like, all right, look, this is how somebody from from Washington Heights would actually rap. They would not be doing this little preppy Eminem flow that you trying to do here. Okay.
Right? Who is that rapper that I hate? And he did that corny ass video where he tried to do like show both sides of racism.
Oh, Joyner
Who is
Lucas.
that rapper, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they all have that sort of
corny
flow.
Dumbass up there. Yeah, I fucking hate that dude, bro. He's a fucking. But if I ever see that nigga in traffic, bro, it's on sight, on God, bro.
Oh, you mean like what apparently Lin Manuel Miranda's done to Chase?
Oh my god. So to move on to people who have actually wronged the timeline. Lin actually has wronged the timeline, honestly. But
did you see that? No, before we get into that, did you see that tweet that somebody called him like he's like brown Tyler Perry?
Yo, I'm pretty sure I sent that tweet in the group chat. He's Tyler Perry, but for white musical people, for theater kids.
Yeah, I don't remember who.
Was it wrong? Was it? I mean, like, I will give him credit. I can't
unsee it. I can't unsee it.
Hamilton is much better than every Tyler Perry movie that I have ever witnessed in my life. I will give him that much.
The
exact tweet. And quoting, Lin Manuel Miranda is Tyler Perry for white liberal nerds.
Yeah, that's the tweet.
Don't know if I don't know if I disagree.
That's a bit of a.
It's a bit of a stretch.
I laughed at it. I didn't think about it. I laughed at it.
It's a stretch.
I just laughed at the fact that they compared him to Tyler Perry. That's just funny to me.
Fact, because he should have said Medea. He should have said it's the Medea of white liberals, which would have made a lot more sense. But it's funny because I was going to tell you, Chase, now Tyler Perry is backpedaling like a motherfucker talking about, I didn't like playing Medea. Oh, bitch, you sure like playing and you getting that goddamn money.
Yeah, no.
Went on stage acting like a goddamn fool.
You played Medea for like 20 years.
You sure like the checks that Step and Fetch It show got you.
You played Medea for 20 years and didn't enjoy it.
Song. For real. Like, girl, bye.
You lying.
Yeah.
But you know what, Tyler Perry, I love you. I love you, Tyler Perry. Please support my work.
No, I don't know.
I will never talk bad about Tyler Perry.
I mean, like, sure, that studio looks nice, right? But, like, think about, like, the sacrifices creatively that he probably will force you to take. like the wigs that he'll force your actors to wear. Think about it. Think about it. He spent all that money on the studio, but he can't afford good production design.
Can't afford water for your extras to drink in the background.
I'm weak.
Can't afford the same hairstylist 2 days in a row when you need to reshoot a scene.
I'm weak.
But wait, what are you saying, Jenna?
Shut the fuck up, Nick.
I agreed with the last sentence.
I'm just talking about a fall from grace.
You're not wrong.
Right? We haven't even did what's that movie? Matrimony or some shit. What's the name?
Fucking Acrimony.
Acrimony, yeah.
I saw enough.
Go there. No, I was gonna say actually, Acrimony was kind of fun. No, Tyler Perry is actually a good actor. I would like to put him in my.
Yeah, Acrimony is fun, and so is Temptation. Just because of how stupid that movie is.
Absurd.
That man is a menace.
The fact that
that man, honestly, some of those
stuff cheated on her husband and got AIDS.
Some of the stuff that he gets away with, I think the time variant police should jump on his ass.
Yeah, can we get Owen Wilson to jump on this dude?
Yeah, because he has messed up the timeline on numerous occasions. I'm talking about my Twitter timeline primarily, because that's usually where I see most of Tyler Perry's movies. Unfortunately, it's just like seeing the worst of it on Twitter. Though people just like post like the wig situation where it was changing every shot.
What if?
What's up?
Tyler Perry is Loki technically, because Loki is the god of
you're on to something there. And speaking of tinfoil theories, let's get on to Loki.
Alex Jones. Get into our QAnon.
You like that transition, huh?
I like that transition because
well done.
Loki's a shapeshifter, so he very well could be Tyler Perry this entire time.
It was Loki all along.
Facts, yeah. Oh my god!
It was Tyler Perry all along.
Long.
So,
hashtag. Put that on Twitter.
So I'm
sorry, Chase. Go ahead.
I'm kind of like blanking on like how the show begins. I think the show begins kind of like where we left off with that variant of Loki in Endgame, right?
Yes, it picks up right at that scene of Avengers Endgame, where because of some time travel fuckery, Loki gets his hands on the Tesseract, and he fucks off into his own spin-off series.
Like he doesn't even get a break, like a second to like recover from his fall. He like falls into the desert, and then immediately the time police are like, "Nah, you gotta go. You gotta go."
He gets like a couple seconds to like try and give his speech. Only they don't speak English.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. There were those the people in the desert that he did talk to very briefly.
Yeah, like Mongol.
Yeah.
It's like they're just in their language. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And then the time police show up, and it's like, never mind.
You got to go. And then they like, I'm assuming they Men in Black'd the
they Men in Black that entire like little branch of reality.
Yeah. That's funny. But it is very like from then on, that whole sort of like in that sort of realm, I guess. That has to be some of the most ambitious and trippy stuff that we've seen Marvel do, in my opinion. Like, hey Bubbles, how you doing?
Yep, Bubbles. Oh, this is actually a variant Bubbles.
I'm weak.
Variant Bubbles.
Get out of here.
And like I know
I will say just real fast, I love that opening.
Oh yeah,
that opening is
the opening to that. It was good. Yeah, because it actually took me back. Because Endgame, I think, is the only one that I actually remember out of all those Marvel Avengers films. Because I don't think they were that great. And it was like I was curious. I was like, when that happened, I was like, where the fuck did Loki go? Like, where did that nigga go? And now they're telling us. So that was a great tie-in, and it's a great tie-in because you can now say this is canon technically because they put it in the film and this. Like all the other things that we've seen, I guess you could say those are technically canon too. But this series is like, I feel like I could watch Endgame and watch the series. Yeah, it is shot like a film. It's very cinematic.
Yeah,
all of the I think a little bit more than WandaVision.
Yeah, all of the MCU shows are kind of shot cinematically.
But I say this one
to the most, and like all of them, it's seamless with the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, even like color grading wise, like I didn't even notice a difference between the Endgame footage and this.
Exactly.
And like to get into the opening, just like well, not the opening per se, but like how they introduce you to the time. What are they called officially? Like
the TVA, the Time Variant Authority.
How they introduce you?
Oh, who we have to introduce a returning favorite of the show, Wunmi Masaku, who plays Hunter B-15, who we know from Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
My girl.
Yeah.
My girl.
The cast is, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the cast is tight for this. You have Owen Wilson, Gugu, who was my childhood crush. I forgot where I saw her initially. But Woomba. Wait, that's how you pronounce her name again?
Wunmi Masaku.
Wunmi, my bad. And then of course you have Tom Hiddleston himself reprising the role. Where do we want to go with this? Do we want to break down like literally every scene, or do we want to just go into like the major like highlights that we enjoy the most, and then break down theories?
I mean, we can do either one. I'll just sneak this in real fast for folks who read the comic book.
I think if you want to, I think the highlight of this is if you want to defeat a god, you take him to the DMV. Because that's essentially what the TVA is.
Yeah. They're like the time DMV.
The fucking like
the Citadel
lines of fucking barriers that you're the only one there. Is like, can I just go over? Nope.
And that's realistically like what I imagine like the time police to be. They would be just a whole bunch of bureaucrats. But what are you about to say, Jenna?
Well, that's why I brought up Sex Criminals, even though that comic came out after TVA. Y'all should read it. It's about a couple who have sex, and when they orgasm, they can time bend, and they're hunted by the time police.
Oh, that sounds...
And that was my introduction to, Sex Criminals is an awesome comic. But shout out to like Marvel, because clearly they did it first. But I feel like I was able to get kind of like two comics in one, because I feel like this is, if that comic were to come to life, this is kind of how it would look and feel. So I'm actually kind of juiced that how they actually brought the TVA to life was very, I like it. I like this whole, like, I think this is actually my favorite Marvel series out of all of them. Like, WandaVision was cool, but like so far off this one episode, just the TVA alone, it's definitely, they did a very good job in making this in world building. You know what I mean? The world building for TVA is pretty good. Yeah,
because here, like,
they are not holding your hand at all.
Yeah,
you get like a 2-minute cartoon narrated by homegirl Tara Strong.
Yeah,
as Miss Minutes,
and that kind of explains like the sort of like, you know, the as much
it gives you the basic background of the TVA, of which the Timekeepers, one of whom may or may not be Kang the Conqueror. Because that one of them looked just like Jonathan Majors.
I have to look back at that. But yeah, no.
Believe me, you'll see the nose.
I have to look back at that. That's interesting. That's a nice little detail.
The nose.
The nose. But yeah, no, you have that, and then you also sort of see the scale in which they're important. Like they're on a different level than Thanos.
You see the power difference.
They're using
very quickly.
They're using the Infinity Stones as paperweight holders.
They've got like 2 or 3. I saw like 2 or 3 fucking reality stones.
Yeah.
They're collecting them like Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Some of the guys here use them as paperweights.
And I guess they're just like sort of using, like they just take them if they're in like a timeline they're not supposed to be, I guess, and then you know, or like if they're being used in a way that they're not supposed to be, I guess. But I just find that so intriguing because for the first like decade, you were built up to sort of believe that the Infinity Stones are it. Like this is like this is as far as we can go. And I just love the fact that this first episode just immediately just throws everything out the window and breaks that ceiling completely and just shoves you into the weirdness. Like
it's like that meme of like Hela walking through the Asgard vault and it's just all the Infinity Stones weak.
Not because none of that matters anymore. We've gotten past it. We saw the story. We saw the limit of their power. It's over. We're moving on to greater things.
And the dialogue in this is vague enough that it kind of fills in like some of the potential plot holes. Like if Loki was apprehended by the Time Police, then why haven't they done shit about the Avengers?
Yeah, and
that was supposed to happen.
Yeah. And like I know a lot of people
also
hate.
Interesting to just.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, please, Jenna.
Yeah.
Because like this is like one of the things I can nerd out on because it's like one of the few comics I actually know. But it's interesting that they kind of retcon this again because there isn't like a trilogy of people. Technically, it was like not a whole bunch of people, but like Owen Wilson's character who is Mobius, like there's like a whole like group of them. It was interesting that they kind of like did like the 3 people that kind of control time, and I was like, from my memory, it was like a whole bunch of you niggas fucking around. So
but,
it was just like I kind of like where they're going, and I wonder if they're gonna bring in.
Yeah, it's vague enough.
Yeah. Because the TVA is like. Yeah, because there's like justice. Peace. There's like all types of people in the TVA that kind of play their role and represent like different, philosophical aspects.
Yep,
but it's interesting because I really do want to see how they're gonna play.
Yeah, they name drop Nightmare, which is like potential connection to Multiverse of Madness, which we gotta address that because this much more so than WandaVision has potentially more connective threads to that film.
Yeah, definitely. Because the main conflict that is going to be the focus is going to be Loki and Owen Wilson Morbius. They're going to try to chase down a variant of Loki that is sort of causing havoc throughout various different timelines and sort of creating this sort of, I mean, time travel is tricky, but I'm assuming it's going to be like a sort of like more so of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a butterfly effect, or sort of like a, or maybe even like branching off points where there's like different timelines where this could happen, different timelines this happened here.
Yeah,
nothing is truly connected anymore. It's all moving out of whack.
Yeah, I think the way they explain time travel in the MCU is like once you make a change, you're essentially just creating a branch of reality. And the reason that the Avengers, they went back and put the Infinity Stones exactly where they got them was to close off that branch. So the Avengers kind of did the TVA's job for them, in a sense.
Oh, so that's why that they were able to get away with it.
That's why they were able to get away. Yeah, that's why they got away with it, and why the Ancient One gave Banner the Time Stone in the first place.
Because as this goes on, if they're really gonna do the TVA, like how I think they're gonna do it, it's gonna get messy, real quick. Because with Loki, they may do it. They probably would structure it better because TVA is like everywhere, pretty much in the Marvel universe. But like, I like how Loki kind of brings up the essence of the bureaucracy and the bullshit of the TVA, because that's kind of what it is. Because every former employee who worked for the niggas stole something from them, try to like run, like everybody who's worked there kind of was just like, fuck this shit, you know what I mean? I'm out, or I'm gonna steal something, or I'm gonna change something, or I'm gonna do something. So it's interesting that Loki kind of calls them on their bullshit with his woke ass. # Loki woke. Like, Loki woke. Loki. Get it? Loki woke. I got bars out here. Like,
Loki's joining Zemo in the woke MCU club.
Yeah. They're going to be listening to Marvin Gaye.
Right.
They're going to be Killmonger.
Loki was low-key woke. He was low-key woke. He walked up in here and said, man, fuck this white man shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Him and Zemo are going to be in the club.
Right? And it also was, like, for me, the first real time we're getting some actual character arc development. Because Loki is such, like, Loki and Thor in general, these are, like, actual Norse mythology gods. You know what I mean? Like, Loki is a god. Like, and so to see how we worship God, right, or worship a God, and to see him be powerless in this situation like that, and to kind of see him stripped, it was beyond a fish out of water trope, right? Because we've seen this type of fish out of water in so many films, in this trope so many times. But the fact that they turned it on its head, and because we've seen all these films and we've able to grow with this character, but this is the first time I really was like, oh shit, we're actually getting a character arc now. You know what I mean? Because this character is now confronted with an identity crisis.
I wouldn't say it's the first time we've gotten a character arc from Loki, because I thought that was one of the highlights of the first Thor film. It was Loki and his arc. And he was like kind of the first of the relatable MCU villains, because he had that conflict with his father. And we have to remember, this is not the Loki that died in Infinity War. This is like Avengers Loki. Yeah. This is the guy who, to our knowledge, was still evil, who hadn't gone through the changes that he did in the Dark World or even Ragnarok.
Yeah. And I think because here was the scene that basically sold this whole series for me, right?
That
there's the scene where he was watching
the crying cameraman meme,
where he was watching his life play out.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest conflict with Loki is he thought that he was unloved by his mother and his father and his brother, and him getting to see that there was a version that heard all of it, and also not being able to go back.
Yeah, but also I think what hurt him the most though was seeing his demise. I think hurt him the most, because that was like the moment where he was just like, all right, no, I cannot, this is not how I end. Like, this is not what I'm doing with my life. Regardless, and I'm not getting I'm not going to be the one that gets my mother killed. I'm not going to be the one that continues to hurt my brother and my father. And I'm definitely not going to get my neck snapped by Thanos. That's what we're not going to do. So, and I love that. Tom Hiddleston, I know the internet gives him his flowers, but I do think like we on here should give him his flowers, because he was acting his ass off scene alone.
Oh yes, even yes, and especially opposite Owen Wilson, who Owen Wilson, he's kind of playing that. Yeah, I've seen everything. I've done this for a while. I know exactly what you're gonna do. And he and Tom Hiddleston's chemistry are, I think, the big thread that is gonna carry this series.
Yeah, but the only critique I have for Owen is that he didn't give us a wow.
Wait for it.
That wow better come in at the most powerful
We need
moment.
to see wow.
Yeah.
But
God damn, his dramatic Hiddleston, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too that you brought that up. That this wasn't the Loki that we've seen throughout the films. This was the one at the end of the Avengers. Because I mean, if you play with time travel, we all know the mechanics of that in film and television. But what's interesting here, I think the reason why I say is a character arc, because I mean, Loki was always one of my favorites from Marvel, just because, being adopted and all. It was kind of like, he represented what it felt like to always be an outsider, but be the baddest nigga in the streets, though. So it was just like seeing him watch his life on screen and understanding, how I grew with the other character in the film. I say it's an arc because he kind of goes back to the comic book Loki, not necessarily the Marvel Universe Loki, where we kind of get this Loki where it's like, all right, you're not even technically the son of Odin, like technically. You got taken in, so it's like we get this
even down to like the biography,
constantly feeling like he was.
They don't call him Odin.
No, yeah,
it's Ralphie's.
No, they do not. So when he's like, I'm taking my rightful place at the throne, I'm taking my right, it's all about a validation of self, right? With external things. So it's like the fact that we got to see him in that short amount of time, which is a kudos to the director.
The man,
very well done. Kudos to screenwriting, phenomenal.
Yeah, kudos to Kate Aaron, who directed this, Michael Waldron, who wrote this episode, and Tom Hiddleston, who the camera is just on. That entire scene is on his face, and it is doing like 6 movies of character development in the span of like 5 minutes.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why I felt like I was like, well, holy shit. Like out of all the things I remember him for, because when I see him in the films, I was like, okay, whatever, comic relief, okay, girl, we got it. But when I seen this, it was like, oh no, okay, I'm looking for now. You know what I mean? Like I haven't excited for a Marvel character since like none. So Loki is like the first time that I'm actually like high-key juiced because he's the one that's actually interesting. He has layers, and he represents this just complicated, just mix of you don't know what he's gonna do, which is literally the essence of Loki.
Yeah,
so it was really good to watch him. Of course, my homegirl, man.
Yeah, I feel like this show, it's because with WandaVision and with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we all know that Wanda, Sam, Bucky, deep down, they are good people, and they are gonna do the right thing no matter what. Loki, it's a little more ambiguous, and so you get something that's a little more akin to something like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul with like a sci-fi twist.
That's interesting, and especially because they present right away that there is like the main villain, at least we're so led to believe, at least, is himself or a variant of himself. So that interaction is going to be very interesting to me, because now it's like, all right, is he going to team up with himself? Can he and his other self even like communicate? Because I've known in certain stories like that just destroys the whole universe, or like that destroys them.
And I read a criticism of Marvel is like they have like 3 types of villains. One of them being the mirror, and I wonder how when you do it literally, because this is Loki potentially being confronted by his worst mistakes as in a physical form, which I think is a very interesting route to go, and maybe that's what causes the multiverse to fucking break.
And I'm very curious about how this Loki, like the origins of his variant, because like I'm trying, like I don't know if there were any there probably weren't any hints in like the Thor movies, but I'm just trying to figure out like where were those holes where that Loki could have existed. I wonder if they were already given to us ahead of time, so that's gonna be very interesting. One of those we already discussed already that the evil variant of Loki is going to be played by Tyler Perry.
No, it's not going to be Tyler Perry. It's going to be Tyler Perry as Medea as Loki.
True. It's going to be like
they're going to use my.
There's going to be layers.
They're going to use my homegirl Wunmi They're gonna use my homegirl. They're gonna use Wunmi because she's the black hunter, and they're gonna have her be like black on black crime because they're gonna
no.
the little boy.
Wunmi's gonna get her own like trap remix of "It Was Me All Along."
Oh my gosh!
Right
now, I do already.
By the
predict...
way, I'm not gonna cap. I was so happy seeing her.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. I was like, yes, and I was so happy to see the guy Casey, that Loki, he literally stops to ask him his name just so he can threaten him more personally.
Yeah, that was a funny little bit.
Casey,
and then
get rid of the goddamn Tesseract! Oh goddamn Casey!
And yeah, they're like, I'm gonna get you like a fish, and he's never experienced what a fish is. He's literally just been this construct in this time variation world his entire life.
And Casey
probably never ate in his life either. Probably doesn't need to.
Yeah, and the guy's played by Eugene Cordero, who's like a comedic character actor. You've seen him on stuff like The Good Place, The Mandalorian. He's done voices for Bob's Burgers, Central Park.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this. But any like to end the sort of show, any last predictions? I'm predicting that her character will come around. That I'm hoping for like a trio sort of like beat down of the Loki variant and whatever forces he may send.
We get like The Boys season 2 finale beat down of like variant Loki.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I have no predictions about just like what the Loki variant could be. Are there any like comics that this variant could pull from? You guys think that you know of at least?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. If anything, it may be. So Loki has been reincarnated quite a few times in the Marvel Universe, and Loki even took on a female form in the Marvel Universe, and has a relation to Scarlet Witch. So they'll probably do one of those variations of Loki that were impactful in the Marvel Universe, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be, I'm trying to think of her name, bruh. Because she was high-key raw in the comics, bruh. Because she was Loki, it's just she took on a female form.
Oh, Enchantress?
I forgot, but it'll probably be her. Is that what she? Yeah,
Enchantress, but fucking.
Or one of the times he was reincarnated.
Yeah, Enchantress, but like David Ayer's gonna be cease and desist.
That would make a lot of sense, actually, though, because they did make a big like. Sort of.
There was a big casting announcement that they cast Lady Loki. I don't remember the actor.
And also that they made like a very like sort of like announcement that Loki was gender fluid. So like that's not out of the realm of like possibility for them to introduce Lady Loki in this as and the actress who's playing her is named Sophia DiMartino. That's at least according to IMDb.
Oh yeah, so they're probably gonna do that. That makes a lot of sense because Loki, again, I love that character because
the guy's a shapeshifter. Really, of course, he's gender fluid.
Stories.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't wait for the neckbeards to just start being crying. It's like, get your woke politics out of me.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that's canon to the Norse mythology, though.
It is.
So
canon.
They can't.
Oh, you don't want to hear about the time Loki fucked a horse.
I wouldn't say it's canon, but I will say that Loki is not. The whole point of Loki was like not representative of typical masculinity like Thor. So what Loki lacks in like strength and brutality and kind of this, rah wartime, made up for it in cunningness, skill, sorcery, which are typically associated with feminine. But that motherfucker, bro, Loki is not. He is not going to fuck with. Like Loki is like Loki raw.
But okay, that's been the show. Okay, that's been the show. We've had a great time.
Prediction.
But yeah, no, I did. Did everybody? Did anybody else have any more predictions? Because I do like the Lady Loki theory.
All right, I think Lady Loki is the variant that's causing havoc, and the finale, it's gonna be them. They can't stop her, and something is gonna happen, like because we see like flashes of a time where like the Avengers towers and ruined, and I think Lady Loki comes from a period where she won. In the first Avengers, she won. She killed the Avengers. Thanos came and wrecked shit on Earth, and that's gonna be the point where reality breaks. And that point, the timekeepers are gonna be like, "Fuck, we tried the TVA. We gotta handle shit now." And that's where we get Kang the Conqueror coming in.
Okay.
And I also think that, again, Mobius or whatever, Owen Wilson's character is gonna have a big like role to play in that. Actually, I don't think he's like purposely contributing to it, but I think because he's trying to because he's the one where he's like the cool teacher almost. I think him trying to kind of not cut corners, but do things that aren't to code, that don't follow the bureaucracy that is the TVA. I think he's either gonna help or somehow inadvertently fuck shit up even more. But I feel like he's gonna do that only because in the end is actually gonna help everybody. Similar to what Doctor Strange was for them, where it was like, damn nigga, you saw all these endings, but you didn't know what the fuck. But he made certain sacrifices or followed certain actions because he knew. I feel like that's gonna be like Owen Wilson's character. Like, he gonna act like he don't know, but on the low, he knows, and he's gonna keep pushing people in certain directions because he knows what's going to happen.
That's interesting.
And I think all the characters that are introduced in the show, like Wunmi, like Mobius, like Mbatha-Raw, I think those characters, they're gonna make it out by the end of the season. Because they are all way too interesting to just be one and dones. And Marvel's gotten so much better at leaving some of the more interesting characters alive to potentially revisit them at some point. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in like the next like couple months or weeks we see an announcement like they're reprising their roles for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I mean, they're slow to kill in general. But we didn't really touch too much about the philosophical implications. Just like, especially between Owen Wilson's character and Loki, they were talking basically about just like how do you make action? Like, are you the one deciding actions, or are the actions already decided for you? You know what I'm saying? Is everything already played out? And that was a very interesting conversation because Loki, you know, very much so believed that he at least could control what is going on. All of his actions, he believed in his twisted head, were right for everybody else. But unfortunately for him, well, fortunately for us, he was not in control. But that whole sort of fatalism philosophy, that was something a lot more deeper than I thought Marvel would ever go into.
Well, yeah, it's definitely the free will. It's you know, free will versus fate. You know, choices. What are choices? How to make choices? You know, and I did like that, and I like the fact that they didn't cover it superficially either. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you're thinking about it now, Chase, and a lot of people are like, well, are choices really our choices? Because I like Owen Wilson where he didn't even bring up, like, he don't even focus on the fact like whether it's fated or not. Like, some shit is what it is because of the choices that you make. So you're sitting here thinking you have all this free will, but look at the choices that you made and how it impacted everyone else. And you had no problem stealing their fate. You know what I mean? You had no problem with your choices kind of defining their lives and being an oppressive force in their lives. When it comes to now you being in the oppressive state, all of a sudden, I make my own life. It's very, I like it because, especially in America, this idea of individualism, right? We all think we're this individualist and we do things on our own and we, you know, have help from no one. But it's always interesting because in God we trust. So it's kind of like, I love how they brought that up. It's like, we believe in God or gods, but we do everything on our own and no one can help us. It's kind of like the same dichotomy. And they did it in such an amazing way. And Owen Wilson played that very well because he was like, nigga, you thought, you feel me? But like, why does that matter? Because at the end of the day, your actions fucking impact all these people. You know what I mean? You're so hung up on whether you can make choices or not, but look at the choices you're choosing to make.
Yeah.
And I was like, Owen Wilson, one day you're gonna fix your nose, but until then, you know, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I think that debate is probably gonna be an underlying conflict between the Loki variant and the sort of TVA plus Loki. And I'm assuming Loki is probably going to find the truth within those two perspectives, because I'm assuming already the variant is just like still gung-ho, like, I make my choices. These are my decisions. This is my will. I am free. So I am going to wonder where this Loki that is the protagonist is going to end up on, and what decision or what philosophy he's going to end up with. I think that'll be interesting to see if they pull it off right.
I already know where he gonna end up. I know where he's gonna end up, bro. This is my last prediction. Okay. He's gonna end up in Mass Effect 4. You know, I play Mass Effect.
Yo, chill. I haven't finished one yet. Chill.
He's gonna end up joining Dom and the crew.
Oh my god.
Chill out. Is he a renegade or a paragon? We don't know yet.
The TVA's gonna cameo in Fast 9. That's how Han's alive.
We talk about choices.
Yeah.
The choices in that game. Oh yeah. People are gonna, for all my Mass Effect people, including me, y'all go, that was for you.
I already find it stressful. I already find it stressful, and I know that one doesn't even have like the major choices. Like I heard one has like the personality choices more so, rather than the major, like, this character will die if you choose this. I don't think I'm ready. I'm not ready for that. I'm already stressing. But speaking of which, let's plug our stuff. On the Afternoon Tune, you can find us on Facebook, Twitch, where we are not streaming on currently. Find us on the Afternoon Tune, just Afternoon Tune. Twitter, Afternoon Tune. YouTube, Afternoon Tune. We are literally everywhere where you can find podcasts on Spotify. If you're listening on Apple, or if you have an Apple account, feel free to hop on that joint, give us 5 stars, moves us up the algorithm, you know what I'm saying? Gets us views, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it for Afternoon Tune. But if you want more of me, you can find me at Mr. Chayse Mac on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. That's spelled MrChaysemac. Where can they find you, Bubbles? That's that's who they really want to see.
Yo, Bubbles is so cute. Oh my god!
You can find me on Instagram at bub.bles0922.
And where can they find you, Nick?
Oh, you can find me Twitter, Instagram at Night and Day Nick.
And our special
Jenna,
guest.
Where can they find you?
Yeah, again, I'm still banned from Twitter, so Instagram. You can't treat me like Donald Trump in this bitch. Get out of here. You can find me on Instagram, but for defending lesbians, legit.
Really? That's what they banned you for?
Yeah. I have receipts. But yes, you can find me, Damn Jena, Instagram, DAMNJENA. You can also find me on oneofus.net. I do reviews over there. It's a great Chris Cox from the Still days. But yeah, check me out on oneofus.net over there. I do movie reviews, and you can hear this beautiful voice saying absurd things over there.
Yeah, even more absurd things than she says on here.
I know, right? How is that possible? Like,
but thank you everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to always stay tuned.
tuned.